All right, everybody, thank you for being here. It is April 3rd, 2022. It's in the 9/11 War Room. Just to get started on new news. FDNY Captain Michael Lyons, World Trade Center hero, dies from 9/11 related illnesses. He died at 53. He suited up for more than 20 years, became the 276th FDNY member to succumb to 9/11 related illnesses when he died this past Tuesday after a battle with cancer. That's on top of the 343.
Wow.
Young guy. Rest in peace. A couple memorials are going up. Actually, this one went up about 2 hours ago. The New Bern Firemen's Museum, it's in North Carolina. They are, as of this afternoon, they've erected a new memorial. And for anybody that doesn't know where that is, New Bern Firemen's Museum, North Carolina. That's where that's at. A new unveiling of a new memorial in New Jersey, in Bayonne, New Jersey, is going to be unveiled April 6th. And the location of that, here is the Bayonne area, Statue of Liberty in Lower Manhattan. So it's right across the water there.
Isn't it weird that they're all coming up 20 years later?
This one, I don't know how this is new news, but 3 days ago, somebody posted about a book that is out, but the book has been copyrighted since 2011. But since we have this type of crowd that might be interested in this, the title is "Until the Fire Stopped Burning: 9/11 in New York City in the Words and Experiences of Survivors and Witnesses." So somebody might be interested in seeing that, although the copyright's 2011. I don't know why the book was posted 3 days ago, but it is. If anybody wants to speak,
because it was just uploaded to JSTOR right now, could it be?
Yeah, I guess so. And please, if anybody has any comments or anything to throw in, feel free. Next article. Right now, 9/11 is the benchmark for all other wars. Geopolitical risks still below 9/11 and Iraq war levels. I'll just read this first sentence. An index that tracks geopolitical risks, now updated weekly in the wake of Russia's attack on the Ukraine, shows rising levels of trouble, but they fall short of those around September 11th, 2001. So I just think it's really odd that September 11th is our benchmark for war trouble. And no, this accidentally came up when I typed in 9/11 for news, but it's a good plug. Penguins beat the Red Wings asses 11-2. Anyway, other news. I was hoping that Michael Lurie or Matt Van Slyke would be in here. These guys did an appearance at Truth Booth down in Florida this past weekend, or this weekend. I would like to hear how it went, but we'll hope one of those guys will pop in here later. Okay. And I've been putting stickers up, continue to put stickers up around my area. Sandra just screen capture of one that she put up just somewhere down the street that somebody's going to look at every time they walk by it. That's just putting a pebble in somebody's shoe. So I like that. Nice job, Sandra. And this isn't really that's all I have for 9/11 news, new news. Does anybody else have anything new news related?
Gene, I don't know when you want me to talk about the Boston fire protection.
Yeah, you want to give us an update on, let's see, where were we at last on that? Right now, the Boston 9/11 Truth Movement is looking to be at the National Fire Protection Association event. We have a buy-in with possibly with Richard and Eric Lawyer at a minimum.
Right. So I've been calling again, trying to drum up donations and support. The guy that Richard recommended me talking to is this Scott Granger, who is with Architects and Engineers, and he has his own fire protection engineering company. And I had a long talk with him about, the convention. He knew all about it. and said that the majority of the people that attend are, they're not engineers, but they're primarily fire, um, uh, people that are in the fire protection business, obviously. And he was going to think about whether I offered, that he would be the main participant for our booth. And he said, well, let me talk to a few people and I'll get back to you. This is almost a week ago now. So, and I've been waiting. It's certainly much more, it would be much more on target to have this guy. Richard and lawyer are still willing to come, but I'm trying to get this guy, and along with Ted Walter, who was going to talk to some of the members, that architects and engineers, but I have not heard from either one of these guys, and it's getting late in the day. So I'm sort of debating whether to go with Richard and lawyer or still wait and hold out for these other guys who I think would be a better fit for this convention. Anyway, the second part of the story is getting money. We have 2 donors that are willing to pony up for the booth, but we still need easily $7,500 for all said and done, getting people out here and getting putting them up, setting up the booth. Richard is very well versed in how much all this costs, and he was the one that sort of threw me a number. But and so the third part of it is, do we do a GoFundMe? And that requires a what do you call it? A donation, a group that, what do they call it?
Well, there's a goal. With GoFundMe, you have to establish some kind of a goal
Right.
where if it's not reached, then everybody is
They get some
refunded
money
anything
back,
that they
right.
pledged.
But it's also for tax purposes, I guess. If you donate, then you get the benefit if you're what is the name of a group?
501c3.
Yeah, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And that would mean Richard is one, I believe, and so is architects and engineers. Setting that up on my own would not be doable. So anyway, I'm hoping I get to this, commitment for the booth as soon as possible. And again, money is the issue, obviously. So if anybody has thoughts on that, I'm all ears.
Well, what I would suggest, I mean, like I brought up, we did the fundraising for the 20th anniversary through Classy. The only condition was that it had to be funneled through an organization.
Right.
And I'm not sure what their criteria are, but maybe Richard would qualify as an LCC to be established as such an organization. And the thing with Classy is that there is no goal that you have to reach. It's
see.
just basically whatever you raise, you raise.
Right.
And you can access whatever funds
Yeah.
pretty much immediately. So in that sense, it might, it's less risky because, but then again, if you only raise, I don't know, $1,500, and the question becomes, what do you do, right? Because then you don't have to cover the costs, who's on the hook for it.
Yeah.
Right now, you're looking at a situation where a lot of things depend on other things. And I don't think that Scott Granger and Richard and Eric are mutually exclusive. There's no reason that they can't all be there. They all have different weight to carry and different things to offer through their presence and their backgrounds. So,
well, Richard seems to think there's no love lost between Scott Granger and himself,
Oh.
based on what happened at Architects and Engineers. So he was a little hesitant to want to include himself. He thought that would scare Scott away. At least that's what I got from what he told me. Anyway, so that's kind of an update on, what's been going on in the background.
Well, look, Al, if I were you and you say it's been a week since you had contact with Scott and he was supposed to get back to you, I would absolutely write to him tomorrow and say, I don't mean to pressure you or anything like that, but there's a lot of things hinging on this. And if there's any way at all that we could, secure an answer or know which way this is headed, then that will allow us to address the other things.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because and that's the truth. If he's not coming, then that means you have to find somebody else. If he is, then you have to address, is Richard's presence an issue or not? There's a lot of tangents that all, depend on each other.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I had written him a long letter initially introducing myself and what we were trying to do, and, basically, and then called him, or sent the letter after I called him, so he had all the information. So, yeah, I will call him again for sure.
And have you spoken to Ted at all? Like, do you
Yeah,
think?
no, I talked to Ted. I got a text back from him saying that he was sorry he hadn't gotten back to me sooner, that he was trying to reach out to the board members and, get an idea from our other members at Architects and Engineers. But I also called him this weekend and left him another voice message. So it's not for lack of trying that I can't reach these guys.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. And some maybe they just don't have all the answers that they're looking for before responding, and that's okay too. Any chance at all that AE might help support financially?
Well, that was the whole intent that I had impressed upon both Scott and Ted, that, we would be more than happy to have them either help participate, or even for that matter, if they wanted to take over the project, that we would still offer, our donations as a way of getting this thing done.
Gotcha.
So that's
a good approach as well. Yeah. Just let them run with the ball if they want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, keep the eye on the prize, right? I mean, the whole idea is to get this thing in front of these, this convention. So,
thank you, Alfred.
I had one last thing. Should I keep going?
Yes, please.
This is a little off topic, but Roland Angles, who I think most of you know, this project Due Diligence, there was a show on with Andy Steele, and he was interviewing him, and one of the things that I was impressed with was the fact that Roland did a very good job of talking about how the engineering community was so they're having a lot of success. They're doing a lot of presentations and committing their efforts to talking to engineering groups. In his mind, the architects were sort of not the best source of support, and that engineering groups, the minute they see the presentation, immediately recognize the NIST report as fraudulent. And as he said, he hasn't had one presentation where anybody, denied that there was something really wrong with what had happened. And he sees the success, the future success for A&E and with this project Due Diligence. But I think anybody that wants to get up to speed on it should go Google Andy Steele free fall and project Due Diligence, because I think once you get the engineers on board, then yeah, I think that that's a home run for everybody. More so, well, on a par with the lawyers committee. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention if they haven't seen it. It was on, I think they sent it out either in an email. I think it's on Facebook too.
Yeah, I thought they had it up on their site, but can't find it. Anyway,
Oh, I think you just passed it on the left. Hold on, scroll down. Roland
this
Ingalls
one.
embarks on the most important mission of his life. I don't know if that's, yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah.
So if you go to ae911truth.org and scroll down on the page, it is the title, Engineers Everywhere are Waking Up Inside AE911 Truth, Project's Due Diligence. And the video.
That's a good one. That's definitely a good one.
All right. I do keep making suggestions in the YouTube video that I just wish Andy would get a better microphone. I don't know.
Andy Steele. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
There, Andy, get a decent mic. Every time I just sounds like he's in this big empty room.
So can I finish up with one last thing?
Sure, you're on a roll.
Yeah, I'm on a roll. I don't know if any of you guys listen to Chris Hedges. He's been a foreign correspondent, journalist, worked for the New York Times. And he's not on board with 9/11, unfortunately, but everything else he's dead on, in my opinion. And YouTube has wiped out 6 years of his work. It sort of speaks to what our website has been going through, where I keep losing YouTube videos and thinking, you know, there's a serious effort here to scrub anything that's controversial. You know, he speaks truth to power better than anybody. I mean, he's probably the most articulate guy I've ever listened to. And I just the minute I heard his story, I thought, okay, you know, now I get it. You know, they're really after anybody. They go to Substack, which is the next venue for. Oh, there we are. You're there too, right?
Just take a break real quick.
Yeah, sorry.
For those that don't know, you're good. For those that don't know, we just take a break. I take a break every day at 5:20. Just say a little prayer. If you're not religious, just chill out for a second. Lord, just come for you and lift this up to you. I thank you for all these people whose hearts are for 9/11 truth, that you would continue to encourage us and guide us. Give us the words to speak to others, for them to hear these truths. And Lord, help us to keep our tongue from things that we shouldn't say to other people. I just ask you to continue to watch over us, to have a hedge of protection around each and every one of us, the lawyers committee as they continue with their litigation, Richard Gage and Gail as they continue with what they're doing, and that we could truly see some type of 9/11 justice in our lifetime. We just leave these things, put them at your feet, and we thank you for all your many blessings in your name. Amen. Thank you. You want to keep going?
I'm pretty much, that's a wrap. I just wanted to throw that out because, as I say, our website has been YouTube's have been going down systematically almost. So
on that note, I'd like to show you guys, and I mentioned this before, I was looking for We Are Change confronted Larry Silverstein. And I want you to see what happened. I don't see it as I'm scrolling down here. I know which one it's the first encounter. It doesn't show up at all. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. It doesn't show up at all. That's because by their default filter of relevance, they hide everything. But watch what happens if I click any one of these three other options: upload date, view count, or rating. It's the only thing that pops up. Filter, view count, there it is again, filter, rating, there it is again. But if you go back to their default relevance, now it pops up. If you guys remembered when we went to this first, that was not there. So it's just, they are burying information, they're scrubbing information. So again, if you want a video, I highly recommend this. Get an external hard drive. You get to the video page, and all you have to do is up here where it says YouTube, right after the YouTube and before the .com, put a 5S and hit enter. And you can download this video. I always pick the highest resolution, you get the link, and you download it. And I've already downloaded this, but just start downloading stuff. That's my recommendation. There's my activist tip of the week.
That's cool.
Give us the link in the chat.
There isn't really a link. Basically, again, if you just go to any YouTube, all you have to do right before the .com, just put a 5 and an S, 5S, and it automatically creates the link. So I've been doing this now for a little while. Any video I watch that I really like, I'm just downloading it and saving it to a 4 terabyte external hard drive that I have for, I think I got it for $100. Kind of like the one Matt Getz had, where he was like, I actually have the Hunter Biden laptop right here, and entered it into Congress. Anybody caught that? All right. I was lost on the, that's all I have. Thank you, Al, for that. Kale, aloha, how you in Hawaii?
Aloha, doing good. Doing good. Good weather, of course.
Of course, yeah. Do you guys ever have really bad storms? How often do those happen?
We do, not too bad. I don't know. We're positioned weird. So we have storms roll in, and all of a sudden, like a low will come in and just push it out of there. I think the last real major one was back in '94 when the hurricane hit. Right,
24 years
Hawaii.
ago, 25 years ago.
But there's been a few here and there, but nothing too bad that you would think
Nice.
baby Jesus.
Right on.
But yeah,
Excellent.
with downloading, I was just gonna suggest, if you can screen record, I highly recommend screen recording over downloading files, because you don't really know where they're from or what's attached to them. But that's just a suggestion to people.
And
Okay.
how does that
But
work?
hey,
Yeah.
check this out. Check this out. Look, ready?
You're really skipping. I see. I don't know what I'm looking at. Oh, it's like a nightlight thing. What am I seeing here? I don't know what I'm seeing.
I'm not sure either.
I see the 7. I see
Wait,
the.
is it backwards?
No, it's right. I
Is
see
it
it.
backwards?
You have a light behind. It's like a night
Right.
light, right?
No, I got it right there.
We can see the image. We just don't know what it is, Kel.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? I'll give you a link. This is.
Is
you
it
got-
is it
you're
a
gonna
lamp?
Love this. You are gonna love this.
So basically, it created a. How do I say this? He created this
Backlit image.
rounded thing that's plastic, and then where it's thin, the light shines through more, and where it's thicker, it doesn't shine through. So it shows the image
Can
of
you-
7.
how
That's, yeah, I see the image of 7
How
and the
about
smoke.
now?
So
Wait. Let me flip my camera. Hold on. Let me flip my camera.
so is that like a nightlight cover?
How about that?
Yeah, it looks great,
Yeah, it does.
but what is it?
Do you see building 7?
Oh yeah,
No,
definitely.
we see the whole image. We just don't know if
Okay,
it's a
great.
light.
All right, hold on. Let me flip back. Oh, hi. Okay. This is called a lithophane. Oh my god.
Yeah, I dig it.
Wait,
So what do you do with it?
why isn't this going? Oh, there we go. Look, it's just when it's not lit up, it just looks like plastic.
Wow.
Very
And
cool.
then
Yes,
it
a
takes
nightlight
little-
cover.
this is coming to you and Sandra.
That's cool.
Wow.
It's a bonus.
So
We love you
amazing.
guys.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks so much, Kel.
But once you get it, check it out. We're like, you know what? Let's give it a shot and do a lithophane, see what's up, if it'll work. And wow, you got to see it in person.
Very
No
cool.
kidding.
if you guys have ideas for Kale, he's got a 3D printer and he's looking for 9/11 ideas that we could utilize something. I don't know how many people are going to go into my bathroom and go, hey, yeah, World Trade Center stuff. I will like it, but how many people are coming into my bathroom though? Thank you, brother.
TMI.
Let's see. It's really an open table now. If anybody has anything they'd like to discuss. Crickets. I would like to mention, and Ed, I did not mean this to be confrontational on the list of items I had for current litigation. I'm just trying to get a comprehensive list of what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And this list needs updated and refurbished. And I know there's more. There's a ton of FOIA requests that are out there. The last one, if that is Dave Cole that's on the call, if he wanted to speak about his is the 12th one in the item list here. But real quick, just to go down through, we've got the 9/11 grand jury and a lawsuit at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals in New York right now. We're waiting to hear back from those justices.
Still no update, huh?
Still not, he's, again, Mick said it could be days, weeks, months, or God forbid, years. And they can, I can see how, and somebody made a comment kind of jagging me, it's a Pittsburgh term, that they could put it through the courts and just stall forever and you'll never get anywhere. I mean, that's a tactic, I guess, that they can just sit on the case for as long as they want.
Well, just like, wasn't it NIST that did that with AE, where they just dragged and dragged and dragged until the deadline? And, you know, if the information you have to provide is not in your interest to provide,
Yeah,
all things being equal, I understand the tactic. If somebody was asking me to provide anything that was going to work against me, then yeah, I would drag it onto the deadline for sure.
for even this one, I guess, when we were at the district level court, it went on for, after 2018 is when they filed it, and it drug on
Right.
for 2
Oh,
years.
that was the one I meant then. Okay, you're right.
And that's when they filed the mandamus, because like, hey,
Right.
we would like to hear a report on whether, yeah, yeah, so that's where that one's at. 2, the anthrax grand jury petition in DC. Then there's also an anthrax petition to Congress in DC. 2 separate things. 4, we have AE 9/11 Truth's petition for congressional investigation for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7. That's their main petition. AE 9/11 Truth's main petition.
Oh,
5, go ahead.
no, that's all right. Go ahead.
Please interrupt anybody if you have a comment. 5, Bobby McIlvaine World Trade Center investigation draft legislation. It's no longer listed on AE's site, so I don't know the status of this one. AE 9/11 Truths currently has a lawsuit against NIST for the request for correction. They're still battling through that one right now. I believe we're waiting for NIST's response. 7, the AE 9/11 Truth and Lawyers Committee had an FBI lawsuit that was going to go to the Supreme Court, but it was dismissed. A side note on that, Sandra and I were talking with Mick last week. She's going to be co-plaintiff as I refile that FOIA request for the 100 unreviewed videos around the Pentagon, which is .101 at that address, 911lawyers.org/FBI. We're going to just laser beam focus on those 100 videos that they mentioned that were in addition to Scott Bingham's 85 videos. 8, Jeff Campbell has his inquest in the United Kingdom going on. I think he's waiting to hear back from the barrister or somebody. I don't know the terminology over there. Some deep ones. These are the high level ones. We got the 9, the military trial, the Gitmo 5 underway at Guantanamo Bay. I don't know enough to speak intelligently on that one too much. I don't know, Ed, if you have anything you think we,
Let's see, accused government mismanagement tax was arraigned 5 military funeral. 5 defendants were presented for 87-page indictment. The indictment charges 9,000 or, yeah, I don't know enough about that specifically to be able to comment intelligently on it.
I got you.
I do know that there was some released from Gitmo recently under Biden.
Yep, that did
Um,
happen.
and yeah, I'm curious how this is going to play out, because it's interesting they're keeping it at Gitmo. So I don't know what the I'm curious to see what the Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's attorneys are pursuing and what they're saying as far as the defense.
Right. I just saw a video of three guys joking around to see how they could handle waterboarding, and the one guy's like, I could take it. They put him down and put a rag over his face, and the guy's like, yeah, he's not breathing right now. As soon as he takes his first breath and you see the guy pop up off the table, he's like, I can't breathe at all. He's like, no, you cannot breathe at all. And Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was waterboarded, what is 186 times? You'll say anything at that point. Oh my gosh. 10, Motley Rice Josta lawsuit. There was that video. I very much thank Adam Fitzgerald for reviewing that video. No, wait, wrong one.
Yeah.
So there's the Motley Rice Josta lawsuit, and then there's Kreindler and Kreindler's part of that Josta lawsuit, as I understand it. That's the one that Adam reviewed, and I really appreciate him for doing that. I learned some things there. And lastly, we have David Cole's FOIA request. After 6 years of legal battle against NIST and FEMA to get access to the data they used for preparing FEMA's building performance study of the collapse of World Trade Center buildings on 9/11, they got a court decision granting discovery to Dave Cole. So he is looking to pursue that one. And Dave, if that's you, if you wanted to say anything, it would be greatly appreciated. If not, I understand.
Gene, is this on an email that you can send?
Sure, I'll forward this on to you.
Yeah, I really would like to print that out.
Let's do this.
What I understand on the David Cole litigation, that one was pretty huge because he overcame the stumbling block of standing,
Yes.
and that's really huge.
No, they're not numbered, but 9/11 litigation avenues.
I'd be curious how you did overcome that, David.
Well, the lawyers committee is in direct contact with him to collaborate and find out how they can use his very tactics to overcome their litigation.
Well, Susan, we have reason to believe that David is on this call right now,
Beautiful.
but we're not sure that he wants to weigh in.
He's a very
Okay.
reserved person, and I respect that, and it's all good.
Yeah.
If he's here listening, that's awesome. Morgan, you're up. What do you got, buddy?
Would
Want to
the
share your screen?
Yeah,
Sorry.
there. All you got this, and that was whoops. I don't know what happened. Go ahead.
would what David Cole is fighting for include the classic computer data to the 7 building coming down, the 3 seconds that were given of the cocaine crushing?
I imagine he's all over that. Yeah. I think specifically, NIST and FEMA came back with lists of items that they had, but there were gaps in those lists that David focused on and says, okay, well, what about these other items that weren't supplied? And yeah, I don't want to. He knows a bit more about it, and evidently doesn't want to speak about it. So I don't have anything to add. But I imagine so, Morgan. Good question.
Morgan, I thought I had Matt Van Slyke's phone number, and I can't find it. I was just checking in with him to see if maybe he wanted to come on and, give us in a nutshell how his event went in Florida. And he just wanted to share a few things about it. So if you don't mind checking with him. Thank you.
You want me to check with him or give you his phone number?
Oh, no, if you could just check with him, that would be great.
Okay, just spin it back one time. You're looking to sort of check in with how
Yeah, if
his
he just
event
wants to
went.
jump on like in the next few minutes at any point.
Okay,
And
I'll
just
hit
give
him up.
a quick recap of how it all worked out.
Mm-hmm. Now, Fred, you're up.
Yeah, this is directed from Morgan. Did you hear, did you just come on or were you listening to the Boston attempt at getting into the fire prevention convention? And whether
Yes.
CHAP would be at all interested, if you want to give me your phone number and we can discuss it privately, I'd be happy to do that, or you can give me your thoughts now.
Well, I don't have any real thoughts. What I did do is text one of the most awesome fundraising people I know. And I don't know, I sort of did that just on my own. But that aside, I'd be willing to, you know, to do anything that would be needed.
So
So
you want to give me your phone number?
yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Morgan. That's it for Al. I think, is there anything else majored in? Well, this will be like the world's, not the world's, this will be the record on the shortest call. Do we, anybody have anything else for the group? I guess there's nothing wrong with that. What do we got? Yeah, 40 minutes.
Well, I mean, this is supposed to be about grassroots and action and ideas on things that we can do. So, you know, we've often gotten that derailed by other discussions. Maybe we can see what we can strategically do, an idea we can get behind. Anybody brainstorm, anything anybody wants to put out there and drum up the troops for?
I guess I would like to know, you got another question there, Al? You got something?
Well, no, I just wanted to mention again, April 19th here in Lexington, Chris Berger is going to dress up as John Hancock. I think he mentioned that in the last meeting, but just a reminder, he hands out the lawyers committee and Leroy Housley flyers. And he's big on outreach. So I have my hats off to him. I mean, the guy's fearless, but there's a huge crowd that comes to that event, and one of our other members is going to be with him. So we'll get photographs and post it on our website. This is an FYI if you're interested.
Okay. I just sent an idea. So I had a cease and desist from 11 Truth, and I sent an idea to them. And I copied Richard, and Richard said, please remove me from this email thread. He doesn't want any association with these folks
This is-
anymore, I guess.
This is recent?
Just now, it just dinged. So the idea, I might as well throw it out there. I said it would be nice to give the victims' family members and the general public something nice and safe for them to appreciate of architects and engineers from 11 Truth without being ostracized for associating or supporting the organization. I said many of the 3,500 architects and engineers have the skill to produce a 3D BIM model. If anybody knows what a BIM model, it's like in construction, a BIM model, you can get instead of 2D drawings that we work off in construction, nowadays they use Autodesk, Revit, and they can create 3D models. And they could texturize it, render it, and use that as a memorial and create a website. So it'd be an interactive experience. And let me just show you an example of what a BIM model pulled into an Unreal gaming engine looks like. And why did it just skip? Why is it?
Unreal Engine.
This is, if I can. Oh, of course. Why did it go there? It's being buggy on me. There we go. Da-da-da. So this is a, you're in a walkthrough. So people would basically be able to walk through the model. I mean, look how realistic that looks. It's just tremendous. And we already know that some work has already been done. Let me just skip ahead. One part that I like that I sent to them is this next sequence that comes up. It drops down and it actually kind of looks like the towers for a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on.
Real estate agents use this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right there, I was like, oh, that looks like the towers almost.
Oh, wow.
Very impressive. You can back up and see the floor plan and everything.
Yes, you walk around. You can actually, I did a primitive version of this and pulled one of my projects BIM models into the Unreal Gaming Engine, first person shooter game. And I could walk around it, walk up the steps, go around. Although the
Wow.
rendering wasn't as beautiful as this. Another part of that email was, we already know that people have some, model of World Trade Center 1 and 2. That's where this was put out. This company, Z-Axis, was part of Larry Silverstein's lawsuit, so that he could get his 4.55 or more than that. I think it was up to 5 something billion. But these, all these models were done using that type of software, BIM, Revit Revit structure. There's Revit structure and Revit architecture. They have one for HVAC, but you could easily make this into a model that people would be able to walk through. And I thought it would be a great idea to have this as a memorial. I don't know, put the people's photos up in it. It's always there. People could walk through it. And it's kind of like a neutral thing, because every time we're coming with 9/11 truth, rah, 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 and it just upsets some people and they're not into the getting behind 9/11 truth as much.
Yeah, I think the victims' families are very adamant about staying away from anything that has the title truth in it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just focused on the lawsuits, and apparently a lot of damage was done early on, kind of before my time from what I understood. They were just hounded by, I think, so many people to get on board with whatever initiative that they just, and they probably got derailed once or not. I'm sure Ed knows more about that.
That actually, Madava, that Richard interviewed the one time, he actually said, stop using truth, use the phrase achieve clarity, because of that same reason, that not for everybody in general, but for victims' family
Yeah.
members, they
Yeah,
really
right, for them,
say
definitely.
truth,
Yeah.
and that's like a slaps them in the face. So we're just trying to achieve clarity. That kind of softens it a bit for them.
Mhm. There's a lot of trigger words that instantly derail a conversation, and a lot of rhetoric of some harsh statements that immediately shut the door to any kind of conversation. And I'm realizing that the dialogue is very, very unnuanced. It's just kind of hardcore, black and white, words that keep being rehashed. It's almost like people can't even say things in their own words anymore. It's as if they're relying on these trigger words, and they think they can, and we all accuse people of doing it to us by calling us conspiracy theorists, and people on our side are no better when they refer to other people as sheeple or whatever it is that they want to use, right? So it seems that everybody engages in it, and people, more and more, I'm finding it's incredibly difficult to have a conversation, because when you use these trigger words, it's a crutch. It's a substitute for your own thinking and for being able to actually conceptualize things and put them into your own words and convey what you really mean. Because when you use conspiracy theorist or whatever word you're using, It's just this general term that encompasses so many things, and it doesn't even mean anything anymore. So we're just rehashing like words that have no relevance to any, or it means everything to anybody, and it's just it just completely gets dissolved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just, you know, it's not just in the truth movement. I see it all the time, you know. It's like people referring to Satanists. Okay, let's defy Satanists. Let's defy gaslighting. You know, people throw around communist and socialist, and like, you know, right away, like people are supposed to like right there, those words divide people. And are we defining what does it mean, communist or socialist or narcissist? You know, people throw narcissist around a lot. Oh, you're a narcissist. Why? Because you just said something that may be construed as selfish. Can we define narcissist? I mean, suddenly everybody's a narcissist. So all of this to say, this is something that's very much on my mind as I'm trying desperately to have a conversation about ideas and principles and exchange words instead of just, you know, these trigger things where the actual core does not get addressed. So, yeah,
We might have
sorry.
some comments on that. No, you're good. Kale and then Ed.
Yeah, to go back to activism and today's world with what's going on, Hawaii is one of the last states to lift these mandates. And we've found the truth for 9/11, or sorry, justice for 9/11 is more acceptable now to talk and interact with and gain more traction with people out here. I don't know about the rest of the US or the world, but on our little islands, we engage other groups. You know, we engage. Just the other day, we were helping to fight a bill that they're trying to pass where the parents would go to jail for about a year or get $1,000 fine for challenging or trying to stop any kind of curriculum our children are being taught, like sex education and anal sex and all this stuff that they don't need to learn at their age.
Yep.
You know, sexuality and differences in it. Anyway, they were trying to pass these two bills at the same time, where if me and my wife were to go and challenge that, we would end up in jail or fined. That's communist type dictatorship type of, your government's going to teach your children, blah, 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 whatever. But anyway, when we engage these movements out here, we go as 9/11 Truth Hawaii. We made the children's shirts. We're making flags, you know, we have little things that we make and whatever. But the engagement is just so positive. I can't, it's like reignited since this COVID pandemic has woken a lot of people up. I don't care who says what, or if they want to stick to certain just 9/11, we don't. We're on a wave that we're riding, that right now people are waking up more than ever than we've seen before, especially younger people.
I dig it. Teach his own. We all have.
Yeah.
And there's something to
totally
be said about it. I mean, Richard is reaching out to all kinds of groups outside of the 9/11 Truth. I mean, he's been at an Acapulco. He hooked up with, you know, doctors that are fighting on the COVID front, and you know, other people are doing different things, and they've been extremely receptive to him, and they've now included him in their conferences to speak on 9/11, even though there's technically no connection. So there's a lot of value in that. You know, as long as you don't come across as a crazy person, and that you can explain what you're about.
What's awesome is what's awesome is when we approach people, we don't go up to people and say, hey, my name's Kale, this is Jessica, hey, have you heard about Building 7? We don't do that. We just walk around, we support what's going on, and we understand what we're supporting, not 9/11, and then they approach us, and then we can have a conversation. It's not like, wake up, you're crazy, you're stupid, you're,
Right.
you know, get off
Yeah,
the
that's so
street. We're not
counterproductive. It's so
we
counterproductive
don't
to talk
operate
people
that way.
down.
Operate that way. We have never operated that way, and we never will. We're very professional when we approach people or people approach us. It's more of getting the engagement when they come to us. Hey, what is that? What is that on your shirt there? Hey,
Yeah,
talk about, and then they talk about it, and we have a civil conversation. And what's awesome is to back it up with architects and engineers, professionals. Look, we're family people. I'm a family man.
Mhm.
I'm not a professional. Don't have a degree in this. I have a concern in it as a parent for the future of my children. Okay, so when we talk, it's more of a professional, civil conversation. It's not a forceful conversation.
right.
No matter how pissed off I get online or whatever, I don't care. I don't care what others have to say, not riding the wave of what's happening today.
Right.
And
Thank
to
you.
not take the momentum of today and what's going on with the pandemic, millions of people have lost everything, and they're losing more, and they're seeing why.
Agreed.
But yeah, we keep it on a level that is just, it's just awesome. I wish more of us would do that and engage what's going on in their local area, because I know a lot of chaos is happening in the world, that they can engage other groups and what's happening today. I just wish more of us would do that, you know?
Good. We got a good group here. I got the stack building up. I got to go to Ed, then Susan, then Morgan.
I'll default to Susan and then Morgan, and I'll go through.
Okay. Susan, you're up, and then Morgan.
The 9/11 families was raised, and there was an issue I was concerned about that came up a couple of weeks ago. How the Biden administration was freezing the Afghan bank accounts to provide 9/11 families
Yep.
with funds, and I thought that was particularly wrong. Anybody know where that stands? I don't understand how the United States of America has sovereignty, whether or not we agree with the Taliban rule or not. How do they get sovereignty over the normal Afghans' bank accounts?
Right.
That was extremely disturbing to me. That the 9/11 families were largely going, woohoo,
Well, here
when
we
they're
go.
stealing money from the victims themselves.
I guess I
And
missed
I
it.
see the Afghans as victims themselves.
I missed this news story. Afghan facing total collapse as Biden refuses to release central bank assets.
Mhm.
He's
This is causing a great deal of suffering in Afghanistan from everyday folk who've been struggling to just, maintain a business and keep food on the table for their kids.
Yep. I don't know. I don't have anything good to say about the Biden administration. So sorry.
And I just don't see any outrage against this. And it's very disturbing to me.
Yeah. The last 2 years
don't-
just seems surreal. I just feel like we're living in a Dali painting. It's something just, I don't know what's going on.
That's a good way to put it. Very surreal.
I don't know. I don't have any update. Does anybody else have any update other than?
Well, I don't usually read Common Dreams, but the fact that the mainstream media isn't covering this is one reason why probably nobody knows about it.
Right.
Well, it was in mainstream media because it was woohoo, the 9/11 families are getting more rewards.
Oh, I
They're
correct.
giving,
Let
they're
me stand
seizing
corrected.
Afghan bank accounts to pay 9/11 families.
Yeah, well, come to think of it, after I think about it for a second, even being in mainstream media, considering the ratings of mainstream media, you're still not going to cover everybody, give a big coverage area. People are going to know
Right.
about it because mainstream media has been dropping in ratings like like Biden's
Free fall.
like Biden's success or
Like
polling
World
numbers.
Trade Center 7.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Thank you, Susan, Morgan, and then back to Ed.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to respond to Mr. Little Chief. You were talking about approaching people in public or
Hold
hands
on,
off.
Morgan, he's not in the screen yet. Maybe he doesn't realize you're
Figures.
talking to him. Okay, Kale, Morgan was just addressing you.
Here, I can hear you guys. Yeah. Go ahead.
Should I restate?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, just, yeah.
No, go ahead.
You heard what I said.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the what you were finding in approaching the public and having a, I don't know what to call it more than anything else, but sort of hands off, letting people come to you and just simply being there and existing and representing the truth and sort of working that way is really amazing. Have you worked with Matt Van Slyke and the Truth Booth at all?
Here in Hawaii?
Just
No.
say, yeah,
No.
if no, let me say that Matt Van
Yeah.
Slyke, who was supposed to talk tonight, is the real big author of this 10 by 10 farmers market tent that we have about 9/11 truth
Is that-
and etc. And anyway, what he did a lot of iterations and thinking about it more than anyone, but everybody thought about it. And what he really sort of found was that the best way to do this truth booth is to set it up right so it's not offensive but inviting. And his whole flow was to take random people that are just checking it for a second or somehow they feel something, and you sort of take them in with the stuff that they might already be aware of. But anyway, this whole flow, and the number one thing was that the truth booth, people running it would stay way away from the truth booth without any like sort of coverings of 9/11 truth or whatever, and just watch. And as people sort of came up, they would gauge whether to sort of come talk to them or not. But the whole thing was very hands off. And I think what you're doing is so funny because it's the exact one of the core sort of awesome things about the truth booth we have. Anyway,
Show 'em your
Mor-
shirt, your back of your
Morgan.
shirt there.
Morgan, right? Morgan? Yeah, I believe Jean and Sandra with Richard and what's his name again? Sorry, that's running the truth
Matt.
booth.
Matt Van Slyke.
Man Vets. I don't know if he was on the show, but yeah,
Matt.
Jean was covering that.
Yep.
And I believe it's $200 or $3? Like there's
There's some discounts. It's about $3.
Yeah, but no, I love that idea. I think that's awesome. We actually set up a booth on not a truth booth, but something similar to that on 9/11, the 20th anniversary in Waikiki, while a march was going on for freedom of mandates. And it was just the night was electrified. It was a lot of fun. But we just ran the information, and then people slowly walked up and then sat there, either watched it or saw what we had presented, and then kind of went on their way. And then if they had a question, then I would engage them. And but yeah, that's an awesome idea. I would love to do that, but I'll be honest, financially we're not set for that. And things are hard. I'm homeschooling my children, and grandparents can't really watch the health and all that. Oh, thank you, Jean. Yeah, so we make the shirts and all that stuff, and I don't know, in time, I would love to do something like that. Like that would be awesome.
But the thing is, at the end
I
of the
wasn't trying to invite you so much, though it's awesome, you know, if you wanted to do that. I think the sort of testimonial you gave to the experience of how to approach the public was something that a lot of people find. And again, like you found, you know, I went out in Charlottesville, Virginia a couple years ago, collected signatures with a clipboard, building 7, the whole 9 yards. I was just expecting for someone to come up and be very angry at me and the whole crowd to turn against me, but that never happened.
Yeah.
And so many people were into it. I
Right.
was, yeah. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Yeah. Today's world, it's so like people are starting to say, you know what, maybe I need to look into this. Because it kind of shows how false flags work in a way. It takes it apart, and then people kind of, they see the formula, the pattern with other false flags that are happening and present to past, you know. So we kind of go off of that and not force it on people. Hawaii is a whole different, you know, you have the local Hawaiians that are fighting for their country back. And then you have a lot of military here. Like we have every branch of the military, including the Space Force. They built a base at the end of our island. We're yet to see a rocket take off, but you have every military branch out here and family, and they bring all their family, and even military are engaging.
There's the Hawaii 9/11 Truth Booth. Sorry to
Engaging.
interrupt.
Sorry, a lot of veterans are engaging, and it's just awesome to see. But Hawaii's funny. They call it Kapua Aloha, and there's just a way you conduct yourself. It's like, it's not being politically correct, but you kind of mind your P's and Q's. You don't get too excited. You know how I get my cowbell. But here, person, it's a little bit different when we're engaging in the community. It's for the island. But
Hey, Kale,
yeah,
what video is on replay here? How long is that video, and what
that
is it?
that's David Hooper's.
Oh,
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Great Deception.
Yes. And I choose that because that's one of those that really struck me, because David is portraying, well, he is a family man. He's a father and has children and marriage. And then he woke up during all that. So he kind of puts that in his documentary, and waking up as a family man. I kind of went through all that, you know, and family members, and dealing with just the psychology of it. But he's got great information in that documentary too. So it's not too hard hitting to where you're just like, what? It's very engaging. So I played that one. Then I played Eric Lawyer and his speech with Richard Gage. And I think I played the actor from that we were, forget his name, from the firefighter show with Dennis Leary.
Yes.
Rescue Me.
Yeah, Rescue Me.
Nice.
So I played those things. I kind of looped them, you know.
Nice. Sorry to interrupt.
But with what more you get, I guess the Truth Booth send you the material, and then you can set it all up, and very organized. Like
but the thing is, it's the concept, right? It's just the concept. It doesn't have to be the actual 10 by 10 thing that you order, and where you have to take all the material that's prescribed. I mean, you know, you display, I mean, there's no better way to speak to people than handing out and showing the stuff that you're convinced of and that speaks to you and that you feel is relevant, right? And it may be something else. And if I'm going to stand there giving out flyers, I'm going to give out those flyers that, you know, I think matter, or that are going to have an impact. So everybody has to do it in their own way, I think. And the important thing is just to do it. It's the concept, right? The concept of just putting yourself out there and having people approach you and have them ask you questions, because if they do that, they're already open to hearing what you have to say, and you don't have to
Yeah.
shout them down to get their attention.
I'll tell you what, the apparel has helped out a lot, doing it on your shirts, and I've done glasses too. So that really helps out, because they just come up to you and kind of put their hand on your shoulder, or just come around to you and go, hey, you know, what is that 9/11? Is that what I think it is? What's building 7? You know, it's just been awesome. But you got to get there and you got to engage what's happening in your community. You know what I mean? Like physically get there, and then if you believe in that, you're just not gonna like go to let's legalize marijuana, and then you're like there with your, hey, what's up, guys? You know what I mean?
But Kale, you also have your wife that's by your side and supportive. You have your kids with you, which while they cannot, you know, weigh in on the issue with discussions, but they're there, you know? It's so much harder for those of us who are alone in our cities.
Well,
because
wait, I'll tell you this. Like I said, we were shopping at Whole Foods the other day, and I had on a regular shirt. I'm like, honey, I feel naked. Like I don't feel right. Something doesn't feel right. I'm like, can you put Research Building 7 on this one at least? You know, like I feel like I should be wearing this like 24/7.
Right.
I think
And that's fine.
I get it, but you know
For
what?
wearing it is fine. I'm okay with anybody coming up to me and saying, hey, what do you mean by your t-shirt? But to actually take out a table and flyers and stand there on a corner of downtown Montreal,
Right.
that's a much bigger leap. And I'm not that personality where I can do that by myself, I don't think.
Yeah.
so. What Kayla is discussing is a need for culture, developing a culture. And when you're the only person in your city, it's really hard to develop a culture. But a rapport with your community, I think it's a great idea.
Right.
I got to go to Al and then Morgan.
And
then
Ed took down his hand. I don't know if he's.
Ed, did you want to speak? Because you were supposed to be after Morgan. Or...
Well, it was a couple of things. It was a subject that we're not far away from, but oh boy, yeah, like the tabling and things like that. We used to do that. We did that for years at Santa Monica at the 3rd Street Promenade, and yeah, we did it almost, I think, about every weekend actually for several years.
Wow.
And you got to a point where you get a lot of people who, you know, are antagonistic, but then you got some who are inquisitive. You get all kinds, you know. But it was obviously, you know, after years of you know, going through the, you know, the buildings, the question, you know, Building 7 question, and the Pentagon. We had all kinds of information regarding the Pentagon, and no plane hit the Pentagon. We were pushing that narrative, but then after a while, what happens is you end up questioning your message because of the geopolitics question, and and then you find out, oh wait, maybe maybe a plane did hit the Pentagon, and after you come across more data, so then your message, the message you're putting out there is very important. So and that's what you know, that's, I think, is what we have now, is we have a branding problem, because the 9/11 truth movement, the word truth was, in the beginning, it was a demand for the truth. And that was because we knew we were being lied to. And then it became the movement became more of a quest for the truth. And then it became perceptively, I should say, the source of the truth. And then you end up with this, with bad information over the years, and people holding on to that bad information, and then that getting kind of integrated into the movement, and then people get turned off by it, and that becomes a branding problem and a marketing problem.
Oh wow!
So now you hear the word, things like 9/11 truth, and then you have a lot of people want nothing to do with it. And when you could be attracting incredibly good people who have incredible resources, and you know, we should be like answer.org, you know, with that, you know, making millions of dollars in donations, and being able to put on protests, and people supporting us, and that's what we should be.
This
but
is
we're
you
not.
guys, Ed. This video.
Yeah, actually, that was Mike Chicky right there. Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wait. Well, there's Adam Ross. That's funny.
yeah, that was back before he got kicked out of the backlash.
This is amazing. Like you guys took it to a whole new level. Look at this. They put
Oh,
crosses
we had
in the
700. We
beach.
had 700. We had 700 meetup numbers,
Holy heck.
and we had about 60 constantly active people, active members. We were one of the biggest We Are Change organizations in the country.
Yeah.
We were that's our banner right there. I remember that. I remember a lot of these people.
So, like, look at this crowd coming down the street at this beginning.
Well,
here.
that's the thing. A lot of those signs you see, that was all Nelson. He made a lot of those signs. The big banners we had these great big blue banners we would take to all the anti-war protests. Those banners were 20 feet by 4 feet tall, and there was 5 of them. Now
Wow.
imagine putting those in an anti-war protest.
Right.
You couldn't turn your head anywhere without seeing one, and it had a different 9/11 message on it, and it was very powerful. You know, World Trade Center didn't just blow itself up. You know, so we did all this stuff, and then it just went to shit. It went to shit.
How? What do you give any inkling of what caused that shift?
Because it started to turn into the group started to turn into a conspiracy theory support group. You started getting your Sandy Hook. Now everything became a freaking conspiracy. Everything became questionable.
That's what Andy Steele was afraid of, because when he got a beef with me, he's like, "Well, what are you going to talk about in these groups?" And,
right. And it got to a point where we couldn't even talk about 9/11 anymore. That was the last day of backlash, actually, because I remember that's when me and Nelson have worked on all this research for like a year. There's my buddy buddy Stuart Howe. He's a great guy. Well, we worked on all this research for like a year, and then we realized, wait a minute, our buildings, our World Trade Center, I'm sorry, our Pentagon story here is we need to revisit, and we learned more connections with the politics issue and all that stuff. So we were like, okay, we got something now new to bring to the table. Let's bring it, because that's exciting. We can now bring something additional to 9/11. We can now bring something exciting to 9/11. We're not now hung in this, we're not stuck in this echo chamber of the same rehashed sort of, information. Because what happened in the beginning of 9/11 was you had this fire hose got turned on, and all this information started coming out like a fire hose. And everybody's collecting it as fast as they can, writing articles, doing this, doing that, and just questioning, writing articles. But nobody stopped at any sort of given unit of time to go back and review all that information for its veracity. So a lot of it got stuck and became incorporated into the movement and still there to this day. And much of it never got hashed out. So in our attempt to get it hashed out and really get to the truth, which is what the 9/11 Truth Movement's all about, it got to a point where when we brought these issues up in one of the BACLA meetings, it became we didn't even get to raise any issues. It got so heated so fast that the entire movement, our entire organization collapsed within a snap of a finger. That's how fast it dropped. We weren't even allowed to speak about 9/11. Bernie Suarez actually stood up and said, who gives a crap about 9/11 anymore? Nobody cares about 9/11 anymore. He's like a Sandy Hooker and talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'm like, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, that's what we're here for, So it was very disheartening. And then he goes off and starts a new We Are Change LA group. And then he puts up a website calling it the official We Are Change Los Angeles.
Wow.
Meanwhile, now there's 2 We Are Change Los Angeles groups.
Ed, sorry to interrupt, but can you just place us in time around what year this is about?
Oh, this is around 2015, around there.
Okay.
So around 2015. So then there became 2 We Are Change LA groups. That's Bruno Brewarder, who was a former head before I took it over, and so what happened? There's one of our banners actually. That's one of them.
Yeah.
And that's Zan Overall right there, the old guy in the corner. He passed away. He was out there, the Jewish connection all the time, and He was staunch guy. He was always out there. But there's another banner on the ground there. But there's another one of our banners actually. So yeah, there's a lot. But
You guys had
so
a hell
what
of a
ended up
group.
happening? Yeah, it was a powerful group, and I was proud to be part of it. And then, but what happened is that there ended up becoming two We Are Change groups, and Bernie actually called We Are Change New York and got permission to create this other We Are Change LA. But nobody contacted me to ask any questions about what the hell went down. So, and I reached out to Scott at We Are Change New York, the main chapter, and I asked him, hey, what's up? Why are you allowing these guys to create this other We Are Change LA? Now it's confusing. Nobody knows what's going on, you know? So eventually they just fizzled away, and now and they're no longer either. So We Are Change LA is no longer.
That's unbelievable.
And but that's the story behind Wackla. But and now we're trying to, you know, incorporate all this new information that we know. Obviously, you guys know, and it's so now. But now we're of course now we're bumping up against all the integrated nonsense that the 9/11 Truth Movement has acquired over the years, and that's a problem because we're no longer Garco. God, it's funny you're playing this, man. I'm getting all these memories coming back.
Right. Trying to find
Right.
Ed in here. Can't find
Yeah,
Ed.
oh, probably in there somewhere. But yeah. So what ended up happening is we just yeah, it's frustrating because it's like we're trying to. How do you rebrand it?
Right.
You know, how do you rebrand 9/11 to where you can actually get real support instead of struggling all the time and trying to find you know, scrap for this this donation, scrap for that donation, when really the entire country should be behind us, and they shouldn't have a problem being behind us. But the problem is that we adopt nonsensical ideas, and we I explained it yesterday to somebody. I said there's a tendency to wallow in the vast world of possibility instead of searching for that which is probable. And it's because in the world of possibility, it's always safe because it's always possible. You can never, you don't have to make a commitment. There's no commitments required there. But the moment you start saying, no, this is probable, now it's more of a commitment. And that's not safe anymore because you could be wrong. And nobody wants to be wrong. And this is a problem that the movement has. There's a lot of people in the movement don't have an ability to really confront that which they need to confront in order to really move forward and actually establish a standard by which the organizing structure by which we want to create and want to have can be unified.
I got to talk on that moment because this seems to be our. There's a side conversation going on outside of this room, and we keep talking about it, and it ties in with something that Richard Gage says, and I'll get to you, Al, and then Kale. Give me 1 second here. Richard talks about, because when I was going after Trevor Fitzgibbons, the PR guy for AE, and I started attacking him, Richard said, I'm not into deconstruct, or how do you say it? I'm not into destruction. I want to be more constructive. Destructive, I want to be more constructive. And while I can appreciate that, that's why I would say, like, let's focus on our strengths where we can all agree on things. But I realize, and I give some weight, and I understand the other side of that, where you guys saying, look, we need to clear out some of the bull crap, because to really, truly get to a good foundation, we need to destroy some of these false things. It's a tricky position now, because if you concentrate on auditing the 9/11 Truth Movement from these fallacies, or what we are perceiving as fallacies, it becomes messy and ugly, and
yeah.
It has to be, though.
I understand that.
Yes,
Yes,
it has to be.
understood.
That's the thing. Whenever you have change like that, it's going to get messy and ugly.
Yeah.
But out of that is going to come a much stronger unification.
And there's nothing wrong with doing that within the truth movement, but if you're talking about reaching outside of the echo chamber, reaching those people
But your microphone is,
Again,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
never mind.
Oh, come on, you're saying something good.
lean forward a little bit. You got it.
Can you hear me better from like this close?
No, I guess not.
No.
We can hear you just enough. We'll try. Go ahead and try to make your point.
Yeah.
Okay, if we want to reach outside the bubble, outside the echo chamber, then what we just have to plant as a seed in people's minds is what we agree is not possible. The very few things, just enough to question what we were told. We don't have to prove anything.
Damn.
Yeah, I know. It was just.
I know. Oh, shoot.
It goes up and down and up
I
and
know.
down.
I know what you said was probably really good too.
Yeah,
It's
it was.
Oh,
Later, I'll try later.
Okay,
okay.
Sandra?
All right.
go ahead.
Sandra, I have a thought that your audio problem is more with processing, and that the closer you get to the microphone, the more it squashes. So the louder you are, the softer it becomes. If you back up a little bit, you may sound better. It's a thing about dynamic processing.
Is
Thank
that
you,
any
Lawrence.
better?
Hey, try it one more time then.
Okay. I was just trying to say that if the focus, what you're suggesting is important for being inside the truth movement, for those of us that have been grappling with it for years. If we want to reach outside of the movement, those people where 9/11 is not really on the radar, then we just have to plant that doubt about why it could not have happened. Just the very few things we can agree on that from the narrative are not accurate. And that's all we have to do to reach those people outside. We don't have to prove anything. We don't have to offer an answer.
I agree with that to a certain degree. But I think though that the organizational structure has to be organized around a certain set of guiding principles and certain actual factual truths. If you, because I tell you right now, I will not bring anybody into this movement in its current state. I feel embarrassed to do so. A lot of people feel that way. I have friends of mine who, like, I met with for lunch yesterday. One of them is a fighter pilot and commercial airline pilot. And I was asked him. There was a thing I was working on a rebuttal for Barbara. She gave a rebuttal to Lane Costi on. She put a link on BitChute, and I went through that. I'm going through it currently. There was a quote she gave from a Top Gun pilot, Navy pilot named Captain Ralph Kolstad, and she quoted him, and it said, and the quote was that if the 757 were to fly into the Pentagon and strike those light poles the way they did and fly at the speed it did, those light poles would have ripped open those wings, spilling all the fuel. It would have exploded, and it probably would have crashed before it even got to the Pentagon itself. That's what this commercial airline pilot / combat fighter pilot said. So I went to my commercial airline pilot / combat fighter pilot friend, and I told him what this pilot said, and I asked, "What is your opinion about that?" And he smiled and said, "Tell this person that the person that she is quoting has been flying too long in zero visibility," which is pilot speak for he has his head up his ass. That's what he said. And he said it's absolutely absurd and nuts. And here's my opinion about it. He said, flying at a 750, 200,000 pound aircraft at 500 some plus miles an hour, striking light poles that are designed to actually to break away upon an impact of a car doing 45 miles an hour would be the equivalent of you, Ed, kicking a toothpick. You wouldn't even know it. So here I have, so the point being is that you can pick an expert, and give an opinion. I could pick an expert and give an opinion, but I throw them both out because they're just opinions. So it's, that's that's why I can't bring my friend into this movement, because I would love to. I was like, hey, you're an expert in this stuff, but I can't bring him into this because this is the kind of stuff that's being acknowledged as truth and it's like valid. And it's like, well, this is a problem because it's and it can be overcome, but it's just, we got to make decisions. And right now we're in decision paralysis with respect to trying to please everyone. And it just doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
This is going to be an ongoing discussion because I think we got two different methods of strategy here. One, focusing on the strengths, and two, auditing out the weaknesses. I will, and I continue to push this, that if you want facts that we should get behind, these 60 facts right here for the controlled demolition of 1, 2, and 7 that are now at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. I think we should all be able to get behind this. But I respect what you're saying about that's not my cup of tea to get through auditing the 9/11 Truth Movement. Definitely,
Well, I'm
you
not saying
guys,
audit it. I'm not saying audit it. I'm just saying let's make some decisions as a group about what we accept and what we will not.
which is
It's like
that's
it's
how I'm
as
using
things
auditing.
well, no, as things listen. Here's the thing: you're always going to be doing that anyway, because as things come up, you gotta go. Oh, if somebody comes in this group and start talking about holograms, you're auditing. Yeah, in that
Right, but that's
respect.
not going to happen because my point is that in this group, I want to say that I don't want to discuss the 60 exhibits. I want to say that as a group, we should be all getting behind this because those are all vetted exhibits that were entered legally.
Yes, but
There's
the
nothing
problem,
to
the
debate
reason why,
about them.
right? But the reason why we don't have, millions of people behind those exhibits, is because of the stigma that's attached to the movement that's connected to those exhibits.
Fair enough.
That's what I'm getting at.
Good point. I got to move on with Alan and Kale. They've been sitting here for a while. Good point, though, Ed. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I wanted to follow up with that, and then, I mean, in my mind, the gold standard are the exhibits, and I wasn't aware that they were in question. They're taking it to a court, and I hope to God that, it's been thought through, because if we have a goal in mind and a purpose, in my mind, it's the court case and the lawyers committee. Backing up to the discussion about reaching out to other groups, I've been fearful all along of other issues. I realize that there are a lot of people that would support us going in with COVID, going in with all kinds of subject matter, but it dilutes what basically I've always perceived myself to be as a purist in the 9/11 story. One of the things that we did do in Boston is reach out to the anti-war groups. And I think in my history, the biggest success we had was when they were talking about a war with Iran. And we were down at the State House with our 9/11 is a peace movement sign. And it brought out a lot of anti-war people who were very receptive to us. And where they hadn't been for many years, they thought of us as a right-wing ideological group that had no, they just dismissed us out of hand. I don't know if anybody in this group has been in any of the cities that have tried to reach out to anti-war people, but there is a large portion of anti-war groups around the country, and they represent many members. And I think with this ginning up of the war with Russia, they're going to be out in droves sooner or later. Although I kind of feel like the left is gone missing on this one, meaning the anti-war left. But I still think to sell us, that we should sell ourselves as an anti-war group. And that's where I would focus my energy. if that comes to being. So anyway, I'm all over the place here, but the lawyers committee, in my mind, I don't feel like you really have to go any further. I mean, that's the real deal. It's not a bunch of people out there speculating on each, on every subject of 9/11. I mean, we've got the evidence, we've got the lawyers behind us, and again, the engineers who are coming in droves, according to Roland Angles, once they hear the evidence. So I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater and condemn the 9/11 movement, because this, I mean, we have come a long way, and I feel like we're really going to get somewhere, and I'm not discouraged at all. So rah rah.
Right on. Thank you, Al. Kale?
Oh boy, sorry. Is it windy?
No, noise cancellation's working good.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just wanted to add exactly what you're saying about the exhibits. When we engage people, I mean, we have our own opinion on how it went down, right? With certain subjects within, like hijackers, no hijackers, planes, no planes, whatever. We don't try to say we know exactly what happened. And when we have somebody that's ready to look into it, we try and direct them to the exhibits of evidence, the physical evidence, and try and keep it on that.
Yeah, I
Trap.
think people are naturally gonna try to find the fringiest theories, like, okay, this guy's having me look at 9/11 truth. So they're gonna go home and Google it, and they're gonna go debunking 9/11 truth, and all of that stuff's gonna come up. And you can't really, there's nothing you can do about that. And unfortunately that, yeah, kind of our
Oh.
laundry is out on the internet, and there's nothing we can do to put that genie back in the bottle.
I was debating somebody, exactly that point. I was debating somebody on a totally different subject not too long ago. And I brought up a reference, and a legal scholar, a Harvard constitutional scholar on a particular subject. And they went and looked him up, and they found that he was listed in the Southern Poverty Lawsuit, or Southern Poverty Law Center, a website, as one of those lists of people, like quacks, whatever.
Mhm.
And he was listed there, but it's like, I'm like, really? You're going to go to SPLC as your, right away? You're not going to look at his credentials, like
Right.
It's funny. It's like, I know half the people on that list of LPLC I know personally. That's what's funny about it. It's like, I'm surprised I'm not in there somewhere, but it's but yeah, so they'll go for the fringiest place to find to invalidate your information.
Well, the best is when they go to Snopes.
Oh yeah.
So one of the last ones I had, I was arguing nanothermite, and somebody said it's just paint chips. I'm like, really? Come on. Like, we've been past that 10 years ago. They got paint chips, they put them in an oven, they just turn brown and shrivel up. With the nanothermite and the unreacted nanothermitic chips, they show a thermitic change, something, energy is dispersed there. But yeah, you can't help, people go right there to Google, it's a debunk 9/11, and these key points come up. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but thank you, Gail. 6:36. Anyone else for the good of the group? All right, you guys are great. Thank you for being here, Todd or Dave. Cool if that was you. Awesome for you being here. If it's not, whoever you are, glad you could join and listen. Thank you all. Have a great night and a great week, and we'll see you out there.
Later, man.